What if I told you this AI system handles 200 customer support inquiries while the owner sleeps? In this video, I'll show you exactly how you can implement this system into your own business. Hi, I'm Timon and I'm the owner of Agera Official, where we implement AI into your business to help you get the leverage above your competition. One of the biggest problems your business faces is customer support, and customer support never sleeps. So 24/7 you're bombarded with questions. Where is your order? What products do you have in stock? And usually your business takes from 1 to 2 days to answer those questions because you're flooded with them, and that can tank customer experience, trust in your brand, and overall you look less professional as someone who does that in mere minutes. And my system helps you achieve that. This system runs when you sleep, when you're in office, when you're not in office, and it saves 80% of your customer support questions and leaves you only with the most important and the hardest questions to answer, so you can provide your expertise in the field. And with this system, you get rid of repetitive questions that flood your customer support team, that overwhelm your staff. And this system that I've built is available 24/7 when you sleep, when you're in office, when you're not in office, when it's holiday season. Anytime, your staff will be less overwhelmed by questions that are repetitive, time-consuming, and you get back the customers that you would have lost to competitors by taking so long to answer. My system incorporates Gorgias customer support app, which is already great by itself, but when you implement AI and AI responses to your customer support, you speed up the answer time and consistency of the data that the customer receives. So Gorgias aggregates all the customer support questions either by email or directly through the chatbot in one simple grid, where you can see all the opened questions and tickets, where you can either answer by hand or with the AI system that does that automatically and leaves you only with the hardest questions to answer. And this is what the chatbot widget looks like. It's very easy to install. You just plug in a custom code that Gorgias gives you, and that's it. You don't have to set up anything else to have it on your website. And in the chat window, you already have a few frequently asked questions that you can place yourself in for the AI to gather more data about what the customer is looking for. So I place the frequently asked question track order. You can give it some more info, as I can write what's the problem with the order number that I want to refund, the order number that I want to track, if there are some special requests I want to make about the order, so cancel a certain product in the order or add more orders to that order. You can do it through this window. So I wrote that I want to remove a green shirt from my order. The bot asks even more questions. If you want to proceed, you can ask more. If that's it, you get the ticket. The ticket then goes to Gorgias's dashboard, where you can see all the open tickets that you have questions about. And here is where the magic happens. So this is a super-powered AI chat support, which integrates n8n automations into the Gorgias's customer support app. And this is done through a webhook. And you can set this HTTP request / webhook pretty easy. The documentation is there on Gorgias. It's very simple, it's very explanatory, but you go to the settings icon, you open up, you scroll down, and you see the HTTP integration. You click on it, you hit manage, then you create a add HTTP integration. You give it a name, a description if you want, on what event the HTTP request will trigger. So we have it on ticket message creation. So my webhook triggers on HTTP message creation. So each time that a new message is added, the workflow will trigger. It will check if there are new messages added, and it will combine all the questions together for the AI to answer. You set the HTTP method to post because you send data, you don't receive it. If you would receive, you would get the HTTP method, but here we post. And then you just set it as application JSONs for both the request to connect type. So for the request content type and response content type, you both set it as application/JSON. And the final thing you need is the URL to the webhook in n8n. And you can find this if you double click on the webhook. You have a test URL and a production URL. The main difference is when the workflow is active, your HTTP request will only trigger on production URL. The only difference with the webhook URL is that the test one has test inside it. Otherwise, the unique identifier is the same. So when you're testing, you take the test URL, you copy it, you go back to Georgias's HTTP dashboard, you paste in the URL, and that's it. You save it, save changes, and now your workflow will trigger on each message creation. So from the first message to the last message. Now, this is a very simple workflow which handles most of your questions. You can integrate this straight to your business. It goes through a webhook. Like I said, it's the first step of the workflow. Then we check if the message that was created was not created by a customer support team. So you put in the email that Georgias gives you. That will filter out only the questions that your customer has. Then we check if the email is not from our customer support team. So if a person hasn't answered it yet, it only pushes out the questions that your customer has asked. And then we look at the Google Sheets if the ticket already exists in our database. So if there were already past conversations in that ticket. If we retrieve rows, we update the row. And if there isn't a ticket with the same ID, we create a new row in the Google Sheets with the ticket ID, all the questions that are correlated to that specific ticket, and the time that the last question was given. So then we have a 3-minute wait node that is there to ensure that when the customer stops asking questions, it will then answer all the questions together and return the answer to the customer. So if a customer asks a question and is then writing out a question or thinking of another question, it doesn't answer it immediately, but it will answer when the customer is done with all the messages. We then check if there was any new messages added to the spreadsheet. So in the meantime that this workflow was waiting, maybe another question arrived. We look at that. If there were any new questions, we stop the workflow so the system doesn't answer the same question twice, 3 times, 4 times, but it only answers when there are no new questions to that specific ticket. And then we go into the main component of this whole workflow, which is the AI agent that is responsible for answering all the questions. And we have a simple prompt setup, which is a user message where we just lay out what it does, what tools it has, and the rules for the output style of the message, so we can later use it in the next node to send back the answer. And then we also have another message which just tells that you are a helpful customer support system that uses its external documents to answer questions that customers may have about our business, our products, or shipping times. We integrated then a AI model, which in our system we use a GPT-4o Mini, which is a fast, small model that is, I'd say, perfect for these type of things, where it doesn't have to think of a massive answer, but it goes through the tools and creates an answer through that. Next thing we have is a simple memory, which the AI can access to see the previous questions asked or previous workflows done. So it stores the previous messages that the AI has given or the customer has asked. Then we have a Google Docs integration, where currently we store all the frequently asked questions that our business has compiled, and the AI system can then use and answer the questions based on the answers that were provided in the docs. So this is a simple, quick example. It's nothing major. You can write in all the questions, all the answers, specific things that the AI has to know when answering. So we have shipping times for different countries, questions about a specific shirt, or working hours for our business. Then we have a structured output parser that gives the AI the instructions on the format that the output should be used. So we have output HTML and output for the next node, which is a HTTP response to the Gorgias' webhook. So we set the nodes to basic auth with the credential I named it. We set the request method as post as we are sending data. We have the URL. This is not the same URL that was in the first webhook node. This is a special API request that you can configure in your Gorgias dashboard. You just go a little bit below from the HTTP integration to the REST API. You create a new API access key. You get the key, so HTTP Agera official, gorgias.com/API/. You have your email in and a password API key. You can see that the beginning of the URL here pasted is the HTTPS ageraofficial.gorgias.com/API/, which we've seen before. We put in the ticket ID that we want to respond. Then we have a /message at the end to signify that we are sending a message. You can find the API documentations on the Gorgias' own website, which is very helpful if you want to do other things with the API, not just answer questions. We set the response format as JSON, and then we have the JSON structure for the message request that we are sending to Gorgias. We set the receiver email, so my email currently. Then we have a sender. Here you paste in the Gorgias agent's email that you want to send the message with. Then you put in again for the source to address is then the receiver's email. So the person that is asking the question, the customer. We have it again from where the email is coming from. And then we have the email structure. So the body HTML and the body text is the output that you get from the previous node. So the channel is email. You send the message through email that the customer will receive. It's from the agent, because we're the customer support agent, via API. And then the subject, which you can write anything you want. I just have a question answer but you can create this also with the AI that answers questions. You can also give it a rule that would output a subject by what the questions were about. So the customer has some context about what the email is like, so they don't miss it, and then they get the answer to their questions 3 minutes after they asked. So 2 days and 3 minutes is a big difference, and I think the customer will appreciate the fast responses to their questions, and there's a higher chance of them purchasing your product and not your competitors, thus increasing your revenue and making you more money. And that's a win in my opinion. You get more customers, more revenue, time saved, so your customer support agents can focus on the more important questions and driving bigger results to your company and not waste their time with simple frequently asked questions. Now Gorgias has a lot more integrations, so it has integrated order tracking, frequently asked questions. You can do it with the Gorgias, or you can combine it with this workflow to have even better answers. It can recommend products to your customers, so that's another revenue increase because the customer gets exactly what they were looking for, and that increases the chance of them buying from you. So even more reasons to integrate into your business. Now with Gorgias you have different pricing options, which are depending on how many tickets you predict that you will answer with your system. You have from 10 to 10,000 tickets or even more, depending on what plan you get. And with the other pricing plans, you have some automations integrated, which are, like I said, product recommendations, order tracking, frequently asked questions, but their system doesn't handle every question that you have. That's why we built this AI workflow system that can supercharge your customer support experience and generate you more revenue and better customer experiences, so you are more likely to have repeating customers. Now, I hope you learned anything with this workflow. You can implement it yourself. It's not that hard. if you follow my workflow and my instructions. There are a few tricky things, but when you read the documentation, it clicks instantly. It's not that hard. It saves you a lot of time and it's very cost efficient for what you're getting from the system. So you get a automation, you get a customer support bot, you get ticket inquiries that are handled automatically. And just think of all the money that you spend on your customer support that could have been allocated to growing more revenue elsewhere in the business. And it saves you a lot of time to spend your time where it generates more ROI for your business and it increases your profits. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something from this video. You'll have my email in the description if you want to ask any questions about the workflow system or any general questions about integrating AI into your business. I'll gladly help you for free. I'll answer any questions that you have about automations. So feel free to drop any questions and thank you for watching.